An explosive new book, Courtiers by Valentine Low, explores the secret details of the royal rift between Harry and Meghan and the rest of the royal family. Well, the author and royal correspondent for The Times, Valentine Low, is here. Welcome to you. And Isabel and Kevin are still with me. Valentine, well, congratulations. A riveting read.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it. Full of juicy gossip. You'd have been a great tabloid hack. Cruelly wasted on The Times. Very interesting sort of perspective coming through from it. One, it looked like Harry and Meghan were a bit of a nightmare to work for, reducing lots of people to tears and all the rest of it. We knew a bit of that before, actually, from you. But also, you're not completely unsympathetic to Meghan Markle coming into the royal firm and encountering the monarchy in all its good and bad guises.
No, I mean, and what happened when she arrived, people went out of their way to help her. I mean, she had a meeting with a guy called Miguel Head, who was William's private secretary, and he said, listen, you've had a career, you're an actress, you're a grown-up woman, you're not, a new bride like Diana was. We're here to say, we don't have to do things the old way. You can carry on acting if you want, you can work in the industry a bit if you want, there's no fixed way. We're not the palace of 20 or 30 years
ago. So what went wrong?
I think that she was...
Is a piece of work?
That's one
way. Put words in your mouth.
That's one way of putting it. I think what you have to realise is that Harry was already having problems with working within the institution.
Right. So he was looking for a way out anyway, possibly.
I think so. He had a hatred of the media, great distrust of the media.
Which goes back to how his mother died and everything else.
Yeah, and it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
He also had a mistrust of the courtiers in the other households in Buckingham Palace.
And was he right to have a mistrust? Are they all a bit duplicitous in there?
I don't think they're duplicitous, but they may have different ideas about how to work from what he does. And also he had this thing about his shelf life. He knew that as he grew older...
He got less important.
He got less important.
Yeah.
Prince George would grow up, and by the time George would be 18, Harry thought he'd be over, and he was obsessed with trying to have instant results, which is why, when he invented Invictus Games, he did that in a real hurry.
Yeah.
From a year... from seeing the Warrior Games in the States.
What is going to happen if his book comes out and it, as people fear in the palace, because I've spoken to some of them, it trashes Camilla, the Queen, as she now is. In fact, there's been a directive not to call her Queen Consort now, but to call her the Queen. And it trashes the Queen, and it has a go at his father, now the King. Is there going to be a tipping point for Charles, which the Queen, the late Queen, was not prepared to act on, where he says, enough, you're losing all your titles, and you can go off and be Harry and Meghan, celebrities in California, but you don't have any royal titles, any royal status, it's over?
I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think, whatever Harry does, I don't think Charles would do that to his son.
Isabel, it's a mess. I mean, you've got, these two boys, William and Harry, who were the nation's, beloved young men when they had to do that harrowing thing, walking behind their mother's coffin. Obviously horrific. Their mother was 36. You can't fail but have sympathy for them. But William's gone one way dealing with it, into duty and all the, his country and all the rest of it. Harry disappeared off. Is there a solution to this, or are we just going to be reading drama about this for the next 10 years?
I mean, I think we'd still forgive him. I think there is a huge
Would we if
amount
she's
of
involved?
Residual affection there still for Harry, and I think it's very easy to make her the kind of scapegoat for all of it, and he is absolutely responsible as much as she is for where things have landed. But I think we could forgive him if he came back and if she played the game. And it was interesting what you said about, the palace initially saying that, she could do things differently. I mean, I think there's some appetite for that, but I think in order to get to that level of national forgiveness, she would have to be seen to do a Kate for quite a while.
Right. I mean, you don't even want a monarchy, so you're probably the last person to ask on this. But we have one. We have a new king. And at the centre of this, Kevin, there's a human drama.
There is.
Which is very real. These two boys don't talk to each other. They pretty much hate each other. The wives have got involved. It's a classic family dispute. Let's just reduce it to that. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen here?
Oh, look, I mean, this family, you can imagine them on Shameless, but they've just got, footmen and butlers. If they lived on
they
lived on a council estate rather than country estates, they'd be known to social services. I mean, they are totally dysfunctional, this family. And it's before we mention Andrew, but there is a human tragedy there because two brothers who were very close have fallen out. But I quite admire Harry for wanting to get out, but he wants it both ways.
Yeah, that's my problem.
He was
with it.
moaning his dad wouldn't give him, the king now, wouldn't give him any more money. And also he's taken that Sussex title, which opens doors for them. But if he wasn't a royal, what would he be doing?
I mean, look, I'm from Sussex. I've spent more time in Sussex than Meghan and Harry have in the last 2 weeks. Right? So, actually, a month. But they're never there, but they've got these titles which are given to them. That's what I mean about they trade off Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the royals, to make themselves incredibly rich. And I do wonder if there's a point where Charles goes, actually, you can't do that anymore. It'd be unprecedented, but why wouldn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, no one really cares about the titles. If you strip them of their titles, they're still Harry and Meghan. They'd still be equally famous. And
But they wouldn't be acting as members of the royal family.
I don't think they go around acting as members of the royal family.
Oh, they do. All the
come on,
paperwork,
they
all the
totally
letter
do.
headings,
Yeah.
it's all from the office of the Duchess of Sussex. Almost nonsense. She calls herself a princess on her podcast. Little girls have got to make a real princess. You're not a princess. She's not a princess anyway. But they do it quite deliberately to fuel the interest from commercial entities. And really, the interest is based on them trashing their family. I mean, without that, I'm not sure what we're interested in. We don't want to hear their woke homilies about life, do we? So I'm not sure how this all plays out, but it's a mess. And Charles may have to deal with it, I think.
It certainly is a mess. And I think the woke homilies have a market in the States that they don't have here.
Yeah.
And the trashing the royal family, even in the States, people begin to get bored of that, I think.
Val, how do you say? I'm fascinated to know how does it end? This. What is your prediction? I think he's going to come back here, tail between legs, and she'll be left there.
That will. I guarantee that will never happen for one very particular
Really?
reason: the kids. Those kids are going to stay in the United States. Harry loves those kids to bits. He's a great father. I'm convinced that he's always been terrific
He
for
has been
children.
good,
So while she has breath in her body, those kids will remain in the States, and therefore Harry will too.
Well, it's fascinating stuff, Valentine. It's a brilliant book. I highly recommend it. It's called Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown. Valentine Low from The Times. Thank you very much for coming in.